Okay, welcome everybody to another RGT live stream, and this is part of the March Monuments series which I've been covering for the last few days since Friday. We had the first sportive on Friday evening, and then we had the race yesterday, the first of the 3 races that's going to be over the coming weekends. And today it's the third of the sportives. Obviously I couldn't cover yesterday's sportive because I was covering the race, but this is the third of the sportives, and this covers the same course that the riders raced on yesterday. It's the last 98 kilometers of the Milan-San Remo route with the Cipressa and the Poggio climbs. And it's tough, I can tell you that from covering yesterday's event as a commentator. It's going to be a tough ride. We saw some absolutely epic team tactics from Team OTR yesterday in the race. We also saw some epic riding, 2 riders in particular. If you haven't watched the live stream of yesterday's race, then find my channel and have a look, because although the coverage is 3 hours long, you don't have to watch it all, but the coverage was pretty good, even though I say so myself. And the racing was to die for. Wonderful racing. They really embraced the whole ethos of the series, and it was just like a real life classic. Now I can see that again, it was showing in the app quite a few riders, and we don't seem to have many on the start line. So with 6 minutes to go, let's hope a few more turn up, because these events really do deserve to be well supported. The route is using the new RGT Spring in Europe graphics package, and I think that's superb as well. I mean, we're getting this broken tarmac road, but then you get the cobbles. They throw in a bit of rain along the way, and the cloudy, moody background lends to the real feeling that you're in amongst the real classics countryside. It's pretty nice. Now, I'm not possibly going to be riding the full event because it's going to be over 3 hours long. It was 3 hours and 5 minutes for the races, so it's definitely going to be longer for the sportive riders. I'll be riding as much as I feel comfortable doing. This will be possibly my longest ride since my return from injury, and the limiting factor for me is not so much distance or time, it's pain. After about an hour and a half of racing or riding, I start to get in serious discomfort with my hip, which is still not right even all this time after the accident. So the limiting factor for me is when it gets too painful, I will jump off, and I'll continue commentary, take a couple of tablets and then continue commentary, and we'll see everybody home. I'll cover everybody on the stream, watch you all coming home. Okay, a couple of shout outs before we get going. First of all, obviously the series is put on by James Ogilvie and his OTR e-racing team. Samir of Samir's Magic Roads has done the courses. I mean, he's done a fantastic job digitizing this and getting it ready for us. And last but by no means least, we have Paul Torm, and he's actually riding today. I can see him in the rider list. So Paul Torm from Torm Cycle Clothing is here with us. And Torm Cycle Clothing are actually sponsoring this event, the whole series. And they're giving away spot prizes to the most combative or to the best team riders, or there may well be some other smaller criteria, but basically it's whether you're a good team member or you're very combative. And what we'll do is we'll all have a look at this footage. People can leave comments in the comment section as to who they think is going to or deserves the prize. That's what I asked people to do yesterday. I mean, we had two riders yesterday who were head and shoulders at the top of the table in terms of collecting the prize, and it's going to be a tight call to decide who was the best of the two of them. But the same goes today. So give Torm Cycle Clothing a big thumbs up. Visit the website, it's torm.cc, and show your support, because for a small company like torm.cc, I'm saying small, but they've got some beautiful cycle clothing, some of the best I've seen, and I'm not sponsored by them, but from what I've seen on the website, the cycle clothing looks absolutely gorgeous. So nip along to the website, have a look, see what you think, and just show your support. Just, you know, on the forums and this lot, show your support, because for them to support a small event like this in RGT's formative days, which really it is. I mean, RGT is just getting going in terms of these big events. I think it's pretty awesome. Now later on in the summer, or maybe even in the spring, I'm going to be running my own event, the White Rose Classic, which is going to be 3 distances, run along the lines of the original real life White Rose Classic Sportive, and I'm going to be looking for a sponsor there. So if we show support for the ones that do come on board, there's more chance of us getting further sponsorship in the future. Anyway, enough about that. I hope you all enjoy the racing. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Well, I'm saying racing, it's a sportive ride, but anybody who tells me that a sportive ride doesn't turn into a race is nuts, because it does. So get ready to start your engines. I'm turning my fans on. And let's hope we don't have that ridiculously fast starts that we do in the races, because I just want to I want to catch my breath here. Okay, here we go. Chin clear. There we go. Now I'll be switching views in the ride, so it won't just be focusing on myself, because I'll probably be pretty close to the back most of the time. So I will switch views, and we will see who's out front. And there you can see the front riders well on the way. La Roche is making the early pushing, so he's looking strong. In the early part, it's just about settling in. Hopefully the pace will settle down, because I'm out of breath already. Okay, it's starting to settle down a bit now. It's Paul messaging me. So a nice steady start to the race. Ride, keep calling it a race, you'll have to forgive me. Nice steady start to the ride. I think the group should more or less, that will check on the field further back. See what's happening further back. These are two bots. There's his first real live rider, Wilcox at the back. Matteries. But all but two of the riders are up the front with this group. And I would expect this group to stay together at least until we hit that first bump. At about the third distance point. This small bump coming up is not going to be consequential, I don't think. So the trick in this early part is just to try and become unnoticed in the group. Ride along, take the draft in, and just a sensible way to ride it is to draft. Don't want to see myself on the front too often. These kind of events used to be real bread and butter to me. Certainly when I was in my endurance phase, I'd use these sportives as training rides, and I'd do multiple ones as well. And we're talking real life, I'm not talking virtual. When I was training for the TCR, I'd be putting in a minimum of 1,000 kilometers a week in distance. Okay, the first of the short climbs. You're going to see a split. This is where you're going to see it, but I expect this group will more or less stay together on this one because it's not long enough. But I want to stay at the front so that I'm not having to burn matches. So putting a big effort till we get over the top of this lump. Make sure I'm staying near the front. Then as we go over the other side, I'm not having to put too much power down. And the rider off the front, 70 metres, he's going to come back to us. Although this has thinned out the group somewhat, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. It's important to keep the power down as you go over the top. Traditionally, that's where I tend to get dropped. I tend to put too much effort in on the climb and have nothing left for the transition afterwards. But I got it right this time. Just stay with these boys. And we'll bring back the two that are up front. Or one, is it? Is it one now? Yeah, one rider up front. Oh no, two. Two have got 100 metres on us. So we're catching Paul from Torm Cycling. He's now rejoined us. Might be worth asking RGT, Paul, if they can digitise one of your jerseys, because they are lovely. And then we could support them virtually in some of the rides. So you can see we're pulling back the lone rider out front. I think it's the lone rider anyway. As we have a bit of rain falling. These Evo bikes are proving popular. Oh, serious wattage we're putting out. Okay, let's check on what's going on behind. We got backwards in no man's land, and then the next group of on the road is this group. Oh, man group. With Wilcox chasing a further 200 metres behind. Gottman and Fern. Matteries may well be the tail end Charlie. We get back to the front. As we get further into the ride, it should get easier to keep an eye on what's happening behind. I'm certainly going to have to slow down. I mean, we've got 8 in this group at the moment, and that will thin down when we hit the first climb. Good positioning on the corner. Nailed it. I've learned so much about the drafting and braking on RGT. In the early days, I'd have been dropped by now. But positioning is key. Taking advantage of the corners, knowing when to accelerate, when to close up the gaps, like now. Because we're coming into a right-hander, so I need to put a bit more power down to compensate for it. Right-hander, then left-hander, and I should be on the inside if I just time it nicely. There we go. Now I need to switch to the other side, so a bit of an effort gets me. See how I drop across the road? And I've learned that on RGT. That didn't come naturally. It's worth looking strong. Already made one break. Corbo is always there or thereabouts. Another good rider. Recognising the name Suminen. So he'll be there and thereabouts. Just keep the fluid going in. Spin the pedals, but keep the fluid going in. Because cramp is going to be worst enemy in a ride like this. So the longer you can keep your fluids topped up, the better. A couple of people having a dig, including Corbo. And it looks like it's just as 8 at the moment. Yeah. The drop Paul. This is a fast pace though. My FTP is just under 30 kilos, and I'm riding a lot of this at or above that pace. So I'm not going to last the distance if it stays at this pace. In fact, I'm how far off the back am I? Oh, I can get back on. Put in a bit of an effort, get back on. No, I'm not going to do it. They're opening up the gap. Maybe. I'm not prepared to go balls out at this point though. No, I'll let him go. Now, we had this dilemma yesterday. Answers on a postcard, please. What would you do? There's several riders coming up behind, 400 metres. So do you keep your existing pace or do you ease up a bit and let them join? Well, you can see what I'm doing. I'm not prepared to ride on my own. No sense in that. So I'm going to keep an eye on the distance they are behind me and then start to kick when they start to close so that I can join them. You can see the front group have already pulled out almost a 300 metre gap because riders working together are going to be capable of at least 5, maybe even 7 kilometres more than a rider look 40 and I'm doing 28, so they're doing 10 kilometres an hour faster than I am. Maybe not now because we're on the slight downhill, but you get the idea. There's no way you're going to pull back a group like that until, you know, maybe on the climbs, chance to claim back a bit of that distance. So I'm going to ease up, wait for the group behind. I say ease up, I'm still keeping, you know, I'm still doing 2.5. Average. So it's not like I've stopped pedalling. Okay, well watch the group behind and watch them catching me now. So this is the group I'm waiting for. And then we switch the view around. You can see them coming up the road behind me. Hundred metres behind me. So they should get me in sight shortly. Now the trick here, when being caught by a group from behind like this, is to start increasing your speed before they get to you, so they don't come flying past. I've had that happen and it's not very nice. There I am, just see me in the distance. Okay, so I'm gently increasing my pace. Not a lot, but just enough to be able to drop behind the leaders of this group. Now I'm like a carrot to them. You can see they're working a little bit harder than they probably would, because they got me as a carrot catch. Rabbit to catch, whatever. And I'm not making it easy for them, keeping the pace going. 3 watt kilos. I want them to work for the catch. There we go. Now just sit on a wheel and recover. Not going to be doing any turns on the front now till I've fully recovered. So I'm riding behind Paul from Torm. Who's doing, I have to say, he's doing a long turn on the front. You don't want to let the guys make him do all the work. There ain't too many matches earlier on, and we saw yesterday in the race, you suffer for it later. Loving this though. Good riding. You can see the front group have opened up. That will join them now. There you go, they're 600, 700 metres in front. How many we got? Have we got 6? Yeah, we got 6 up front. It looks like we've got 7 chasing. So the front group is 6, and we got 7 chasing. Come on, Paul, stay with us. Then you got Wilcox is a further 300 metres behind us, and Gottman and Forum 650 metres, give or take. And at the back, and I think we've got one more. Yeah, Maturis is the last man on the road. So La Roche is continuing to push out front. He's looked strong all along. He's doing a fair old pull on the front. Keep an eye on Younger though. The riders that you think aren't being mentioned aren't doing much. Again, watch yesterday's video, and Friday's in particular, Friday night. The winner of Friday night Sportive wasn't even in the running. He just stayed under the radar the whole ride and came home first with ease. And nobody, including me, expected it. It's well worth a watch, this Friday night's video, just to see the tactics used. Now, what's happened here? Have I been too busy talking and lost them? I don't believe that. I was right there with them. Hate having to do this. Trust me, folks, this is a real effort. I can't close it. Can't keep that going. Okay, looks like I lost them. Shit. That's just carelessness. It's not about not being strong enough. That's pure carelessness. Commentator's curse. I'm so busy concentrating on commentating. I'm not going to panic because I know I can close gaps on the climbs. So I will get some of those riders back. Of that I'm convinced. But that was foolish. You saw me putting in 4 kilos to try and close, and I wasn't even getting close. So, and that's well over my threshold. My FTP is just under 200 watts. So you can see when I'm going over it, and I just can't keep it going for long. I mean, 2.7 for me is pretty near my FTP. 3 watts is definitely my FTP. And Wilcox is closing in on me, so I may well end up riding with him for a while. But it's going to take him a while to catch me, I think. But I'm not slowing down. Bit annoyed, to be fair. There was no need to be dropped from that second group. More than strong enough to stay with them. So while we're riding solo, let's take a look at what's going on in the rest of the race. Is it 5 riders up front now? It's looking that way. Yeah, they've dropped Suminen. He's got them in sight, but he's not going to close the gap. In fact, has he got them in sight? No, I don't think he has. That was trees or so. Then you've got my group. They're riding well together. No, I think they've dropped somebody. No, they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they've dropped me. And Paul's hanging off the back. That he's got back. Good man. Here comes Wilcox. So I'm going to stay with him. Saying that, he's gone past me like a steam train. Not hanging about, he's certainly trying to drop me. Looks like he has done as well. This is embarrassing. No, Wilcox is determined not to ride with me. Putting in far more watt kilos than I am. I mean, look at his heart rate. The guy's not even working. And that's the difference. I'm at, look at the difference. Sorry. 153, 153. Just eased off. Okay, let's check out the front end. H-Worth is he's going to be there at the end. In fact, I think these riders are the strongest of the group. Not just because they're at the front, but just the way they're riding. H-Worth's just testing people's legs. seeing what they've got. There were 4 out front. They've dropped field. He's a further 100 metres behind. Putting in a good effort. So the climbs is where it's all going to change. The order may stay the same, but I don't think so. I think they're going to. Here we are, Cyril. We're going to see quite a dramatic change in the field when we get to the climbs. Because the strong riders that have been pushing it on the flat and the slightly downhills and the rolls, they're going to be disadvantaged, certainly by that short steep climb, which goes up to over 10%. And he's got 2 riders. Now, Rispens is a name I don't recognise, so I think he's a late joiner. Let's get on him. Let's zoom in. Yeah, Rispens, he's a late joiner, look. See from the distance that he's done. Now, the only thing with late joiners, it's great to have them, but I just hope they don't influence any of the results. And there's Tan. And this small group that I was in is splitting up as well now. Just gone over this small rise, and we've seen a split. But there's a good chance that these 3 at least, these 4, will come back together. Paul catching Doug, and I think they may close up on the 2 in front, because they're going to be on a downhill section very soon. In fact, they are now. And Gomez could well close up as well. So you could have 5 riders all joining up together to get to that first decent climb. And even Van Brekel. So 6 of them. Wilcox is not going to close that gap anytime soon. It's a rider that's still putting out 3 watt kilos, still leaving me well behind. Perrin and Gottman are behind me, some 300 and odd metres. So, depending on what I decide to do, depends on whether I'll actually end up with, in fact, nearly 400 metres. It's not going to reach me anytime soon. Unless I stop cycling again. And there's Taylor and Charlie. And me, of course. In no man's land. Again, this happens to me a lot. I don't work hard enough to stay with the riders, and I work too hard to let the riders behind close. Silly, really. What a difference from 2 years ago. Well, 2.5 years ago. When, to be fair to myself, I would have been a serious contender for the first finisher. And that's not bragging. That's just being realistic, because this was my kind of event. I actually held the course record for the White Rose Classic. There's another event called the Spud Riley Memorial down in Derbyshire, which I was the official photographer for quite a few years, but only after I'd broken that course record. So I was a pretty decent sportive rider. And of course, that's a long time ago, all in the past. Along the way, I've ridden mountain bike, Polaris Challenge. That's where you carry all your gear for 2 days on your back and you ride with a partner. It's basically orienteering on a mountain bike. Done track racing. Now I'll tell you a funny story. Funny story about track racing. Imagine a guy who's never done track racing before. He doesn't have a track bike. He doesn't have a helmet. So he goes along to Manchester Velodrome and signs up to the scratch race. Hires a bike, hires a helmet which looks like a bloody pudding bowl on his head, because they were the old style foam yellow helmets. So he looks a complete dork. And I'm there on the start line with all these riders on their shiny carbon and steel bikes. And they must have took one look at me and thought, who is this guy? So anyway, the race starts, and not knowing any better, I shoot off the front. And I was pretty fit at that time. I'd been riding for quite a long time. I'd been a good mountain biker, and I was pretty fit. So I shot off the front, and within no time at all, I'd got a lap. And I'm sure all these top riders were thinking, don't worry, guy doesn't know what he's doing. We'll pull him back. And they never did. I didn't try to get more than a lap. I just stayed one lap in front for the full race. And they never caught me. So I won my first ever track race because they just underestimated somebody that looked like a complete dork on the start line. One of my proudest racing moments. And then, of course, we used to go along to the Keighley chain gangs. They're the chain gangs that would leave Keighley and go up towards the Dales. I forget the name of the pub up there. 100-mile round trip anyway. And we'd do it in less than 4 hours. So imagine that we were averaging more than 25 miles an hour for 4 hours on a hilly circuit. But the chain gang was intense. I mean, if you got gapped at the back, you were gone. Good night. You just simply rode and went home. And myself, Matt, who was an elite level rider, and Paul Dixon. And I don't know how many of you know Paul Dixon, God rest his soul. He died not long ago. But he was junior champion in Britain and elite level rider. And they were my training partners. And they could drop me easily on the rolls and on the flat. But give me a hill. And back then I weighed about 59 kilos. But I was strong as an ox. I mean, I could climb like the devil, which is why I did so well on these sportives. Nobody could catch me on the hills. And that's where I get my advantage. So when we went out on training rides, Matt Armitage, that's his name, yeah. And when we went out on these training rides, I tried to get to the top of the hills first, because I know that I'd have all on to stay with the group on the downhills. And we had another couple of really good riders used to join us. Martin Green from Otley. He's a lovely man, a lovely rider. Still a good friend of mine. So I've been involved in cycling since I was 15 years old. And anybody who knows my age knows that's knocking on 50 years. So I've been there and done it. Not anymore. I never get back to a decent level of fitness now. Too many injuries, too much pain. I've broken both my hips, my last one in 2018, and more than the hip, I damaged my knee, the cartilage in the knee, and I still have very limited movement. I only have about 100-degree movement in the left knee. And that's what I mean about riding through the pain, because after about 2 hours riding, I'm going to be toast in terms of pain levels. So just finishing this event, this will be the longest I've tried since that accident. But we'll see how we go. Anyway, enough of me waffling on. I just thought I'd give you a bit of background to where I've come from, and certainly not where I'm going, so that you know that you're talking to somebody, or your commentator is somebody that knows about racing. And if you watch yesterday's stream where I covered the tactics and everything, I think, to be fair to myself, you realise that's a true statement. I do know what I'm talking about. So on that note, let's have a look and see what's happening up front. Now I expect this group of 5 to stay together until they get to the first proper climb. The lump that they're approaching, I don't think will sort them out at all. I think they'll whiz up that. In fact, there's 7 of them now together here. So I don't think it's until they get to the first climb that we'll see this group whittled down. So we'll work his way through and see who's in here. You've got Field, you've got Rispens, you've got LaRoche, you've got Younger. Full credit to Suminen, it looks like he's rejoined them. Of course, you've got the ever-present Corbo. He's definitely not going anywhere. But that's a great ride by Suminen to come back to them. He must have worked really hard. Well done, sir. Probably while I've been waffling on. Now you got Pal, and if you look at his mileage, this is a late joiner. So he's not somebody that's ridden the full distance, which is why he's stuck in the middle. He's probably tried to join the front group and found can't handle the pace. And I'm out of breath. Okay, and then you've got these 3 riders here, 4 riders, 5 riders, 6 riders. Nice. Is there any more, or is it just the 6? Let's just work his way back. Yeah, Wilcox is behind them. So Wilcox is 170 metres behind these 6. And I do think he will close that gap. I think he'll join these, and in fact he's doing so. And you see from the on-screen graphics, he's joining this group. So, and then there's me somewhere. Oh, no there isn't, there's these 2. Did they overtake me? I didn't see them go past me. Ah, you see, I'm not concentrating. I missed these 2 as well. What did I? I don't know what's going on here. There's Wilcox. Where the hell am I? There's the front end. There's me. Yeah, I'm pretty near the back. A good way behind. Having said that, I have slowed down a lot. I'm too busy talking. And also, folks, I'm not making excuses, but it is getting pretty painful now. So I'm going to have to ride at my own pace to keep it going. It's funny because I actually find riding on the flat or downhill is harder work. When I'm riding on the climbs, I'm not sat in the saddle as much. I'm out of the saddle. I'm able to push the pedals around, albeit slowly, but in a big gear. And that doesn't hurt the knee as much as what this does. Riding on the flat and having to turn like 70 RPM, which for a lot of people is slow, but for me is pretty fast. My comfortable cadence is 50. That's what I try to do on most of the climbs. When I'm out of the saddle, so I'm pushing a bigger gear. And because of the lack of flexibility in this knee, this is painful. I'm still managing to churn out 3 kilos there, so can't be doing that bad. But I'm not going to catch the guys in front of me, I don't think, and I'm just happy just to ride and see how far I can get. Well, let's go to the front. That's what we're here to do, cover the race. Well, it's not a race, it's the ride, but you try telling these folks it's not a race. I can assure you every single one of these riders is treating this like a race. Sportive or no sportive. And decent pace as well. We're an hour in, 37 kilometres covered, so decent pace. Have a look how the group behind them are doing. Everett's a late joiner, as you can see from the distance is covered. As is Pal a late joiner? Yeah, Pal's a late joiner as well. These two are not, these two are full distance riders. Saying these two, I bet there's more than 2, yeah, there's 4 of them. 5 even. 6. Now I said Wilcox would join them, and there you go. And it wouldn't surprise me if he decides that the pace they're doing isn't enough and he goes on past. Because he came past me pretty strongly. So I'd expect him to stay with them a little while, maybe a few turns, and then for him to just disappear up the road. He's not going to want to stop with this group doing this pace. And there you go. Now, when I tell you I know my race tactics, there you go. There's a classic example. If he slows down and allows them to catch his wheel, I'll be very surprised. I think he's just going to, look at what he's putting out. He's actually trying to distance them. Classic rider that wants to do his own thing. doesn't want to group ride, just wants to do his own thing, get the best position he can. And there's nothing wrong with that. Well done, sir. It's not the way I prefer to ride, but sadly, it's the way I often do have to ride. So he's opened up a 20-metre gap already on Tan, and 40 metres and more. So the group behind him are actually splitting on the road, look. You can see they're all over the road at the moment. I suspect they will close up a little. The two up the front are doing so, and I think Van Brekel will join Gomez again. And then Gottman has decided to leave Ferran behind. Oh, well, Ferran's got other ideas. He was 14 metres, now he's Johnny 3. There you go, he's closed that gap nicely, very quickly, which is the way to do it. You do what I do and allow a 20-metre gap, you're gone. You've got to close up the gaps very quickly, spot them very quickly, and then close them. Otherwise, you're just gone. Although it looks like Ferran is struggling to hold the wheel of Gottman, because you can see from the watt kilos, Gottman's putting out more and Ferran's not. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough ride for Ferran if he's wanting to stay where he got. He's going to have to match his pace. See me, I'm just cruising. In fact, I've got a bot approaching me, so I may well ride with the bot for a while. There you go, there's Caroline. Although to be fair, 2.4 isn't really where I want to be, so no, I don't think I will ride with Caroline. But she's drafting me. I'm going to leave her behind. Maybe use a help a bit later in the ride. At the front. Sorry about that. Yeah, the overhead view shows the group dynamic more. Let's have a look and see what's happening in group 2. We've got 8 riders here. I think at least one of them is a late joiner. You've got another late joiner here, pal. He's in no man's land. Wilcox, who I said would leave the group behind, and he has. He's already opened up a 220-metre gap on them. And then you've got group 2 on the road. So this is group 2. It's being joined by Van Brekel. Check further down the road, see what's happening. So I expect them 6 to stay together till they get to that bump. Perrin has joined Gott, as you can see. So full credit to the man, he's working his guts out. Caroline obviously has gone past me because I think I've overtaken. Yeah, because I slowed down dramatically. And I could well be virtual man on the last man on the road now if the other riders are packed. Yep, I'm tail end Charlie, so good place to be. I don't mind that. At least we're going to have a finishing time. Managed to hang on for the distance. Now Everett has joined this group and he's late starter. So he's going to help pull it along, which I'm not sure about, and I don't know how I feel about that. I tend to think that people in the front group should be riders that have committed to riding the full distance, but there you go. As long as we don't get any silly stuff happening, like, you know, he's got 53 kilometres still left to ride, so he'll do his fair share. What we don't want happening is late riders coming in with 10 or 15 kilometres left to ride, because that would be criminal. That would definitely affect the outcome. I'm still not so sure I'm happy about this, but at least he's going to have done a fair share of the work. Cowboy is looking quite strong. He drops off the back and then very quickly closes up the gap. So I don't think he's going to get dropped anytime soon. Just watching his numbers turning red. I think he's got it in hand. Having said that, he's letting a fair old gap appear now. So maybe he is struggling. There I am at the back, 40 kilometres in. And there's Hworth, pushing it out at the front. That gives a better view. See who's chasing. And it shows the steepness of the slope as well. So these are 5 riders. I've got a 100-metre gap on the riders behind, and that's only going to go out once they crest this lump. Although La Roche is falling off. He's 20 metres off, so 25. But it could be just these 4. La Roche is going to have to make. In fact, you can see he's already doing red numbers, so he's already really trying to close this gap. Come on, boy. Put the effort in, get there. And I think he will. I think he'll get there. He's certainly trying, is the lad. Look at his numbers. Let's see if we can catch them. Let's just turn the camera around and watch behind. Look at that effort he's putting in. What a star. Well done, La Roche. You're not there yet. You've got to keep it going, mate. Ease up slightly and you're gone. You've got to keep it going. That's where I just don't have the strength to do this. If they're riding away from me, they're gone. I haven't got the strength. I can put in a dig for about 10 seconds, and that's about my limit. But La Roche is still going red, still trying to close the gap, and still not there. But he's gonna get there. I'm convinced he will. He's not putting in all this effort just to give up. Look, 5.9. Well done, mate. There you go. Well done. Well done. That's the kind of effort I like to see. Now just get some recovery. Come on. Get near the front. Second wheel, third wheel. Get near the front and get some recovery. Well done, sir. The danger when you do that, when you close up a gap like that, working so hard, is a moment's inattention and you can be back off the back again and having to burn another match. So you've really got to concentrate. I think this is the hardest section about making a close like he's just done. The 5-10 minutes afterwards. And like I say, I've been there, I've done it. And it's where you're most likely to get dropped. And this time for good, because if you go off a second time and you have to put in that kind of effort, it's probably good night and thank you. So you've really got to concentrate, you've really got to draft. Stay with the leaders. Get on the inside on the bends, like he's doing. Clever riding. Well done, sir. I love calling out the tactics in these races because, like I say, having done it myself, having been there, not so much on the virtual stage, definitely on the real life stage, but you know, having done it myself, I can call it. I know exactly what's going on. I'm still learning this drafting and braking in RGT. It doesn't come easy, but if you watch my videos of the Flemish for beginners races and you watch the initial ones that I did and how easily and how quickly I was getting dropped, and then you watch the latest one that I did, the improvement is almost, you'd think it was a different rider, a different person. But I think that's because I try not to make the same mistakes over and over and over again. So I've learned by them. And I've also, there's a guy on YouTube, RGT, called Jonathan Crane, and he's done some, here we go, there's a yellow halfway kite. So halfway point, folks. Yeah, and Jonathan Crane has done some excellent YouTube videos on how to draft on RGT, on how to go into the corners, on when to put the power down. And I've sat through them and watched them, and I have to say, I think I've picked up a lot of his tips, because my drafting technique now, when I'm there, I'm concentrating and not getting dropped because of inattention, is right up there now with some of the good guys. I can hold my own in terms of the drafting. It's the power that lets me down, but that's coming in the beginner races anyway. Oh, I'm getting tired now though. Okay, we've stayed with this group. We've watched La Roche get back in the group, stay with them. I think he's going to stay there for a little while longer. So let's have a look at what's happening behind. There's field riding in no man's land. Harbour's been dropped. Now that is a surprise. I am surprised by that. Yeah. And I don't think he's going to get back on. These are part of group 2 on the road that have split, and they're sort of like all over the road as well. They may well come back together. Question is, will Wilcox catch them? Because he's been a really strong rider. He's gone for everybody at the moment, starting from the back and working his way forwards. So it'll be interesting to see whether he catches the 2 guys in front of him and rides with them, or goes past them as well. And then you've got this small group: Paul Torm, back on it, Doug and Gomez. And who else have we got? Van Brekel, he's a further 600 metres back, putting in a good effort. And then Gottman and Ferrell, sorry, they're on the climb. our line who came past me, and then for some reason it's not showing me unless I actually go to the home screen, and it's showing me. So let's watch me suffer for a few minutes. Hardly shows up as a climb on the profile, but this one hurts the legs. You definitely feel it. I think it peaks at about 6.7%. We'll see if we can keep it going over the top. Okay, that's enough of me watching me suffer. Get back to the front. Well, these six are really looking good together. Working nicely. Everybody's doing the turn. Field's still in no man's land. As is young. hand closing in on oh, not closing in so much, but these two are close together. Tan and however you pronounce it, aquas, could come together. And we haven't even reached the real meat and bones of the ride yet. You know, the real hard work starts obviously on the climbs. And that's where you're going to see the biggest shake-up. This guy's impressed me today, Wilcox. Made a very strong ride. More than happy to ride out on his own. I think he's going to catch the two riders in front. So he's slowly working his way through the field. And you got this small group behind, the three riders, Gomez, Doug and Paul Torm, our sponsor from Torm Cycle Clothing. Thank you, Paul. Now we've had a few drop out. What I'm really hoping, I'll just go back to Paul and watch. Is he getting distance? Yeah, just slightly on the climb, but I think he'll pull it back. There's Van Brekel. He's left Gottman and Ferren behind, but it's time for that to change. There they are. These two have been swapping leads and dropping each other and getting each other and dropping each other. So I don't see that changing anytime soon. And then I'm way back. There I am. 50 kilometres still to ride, so not even half distance yet. And I don't care. I mean, I'm here for the commentary, and riding is just an aside for me today. I want to see how far I can get. It's already one of the longest rides I've done. I did a long ride in the Tour du Monde, but I was riding as a team member, and so I didn't want to let my teammates down. So I did suffer quite considerably on the Galibier, rather. When you're a member of a team and you're riding as, and there were only 3 of us riding, so we all had to finish. It brings a different dynamic. You go through what you wouldn't if you were just riding for yourself. I would have packed that ride definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, had I not been a team member. And that's not because I'm soft. That's because it was just too much, too hard. But today, this is getting close to one of my longest rides. So it's going to be interesting. My target was to try and average 2.5 watt kilos, but I'm not going to be able to do that. That's going to be too much for me. So we'll see what we end up with at the end. I mean, I'll be able to push the watt kilos up once we get to the climbs, which is why I'm hanging in here, because I can claim some time back on the climbs. But this is hard work. But as my hero Mike Hall once said, nothing worth having ever comes easy. Okay, let's get back to the front. The 6 riders are now 5. Are they? Over the drops. See if we can switch the camera around and find out. Well, they definitely dropped somebody. So we're definitely only 5 riders now. So somebody's dropped out. Stay with them a while. I have a breather. Then we'll check the road behind them and see who's been left behind. Okay, let's have a look. What has to happen with this spectate mode is I can only go one rider at a time through the group. So you can see there, I had to go through the group to find it's Young who's been dropped off. Or maybe he was already dropped off. But you got Young there, and you got Corbo. And that surprised me. I didn't expect him to be dropped so quickly. But then look, I said Wilcox would catch these two. And there you go. Let me get back to Wilcox. Come on. Where's Wilcox? I mean, so far, this is the ride of the day. Because he's just gone through the field. He's just blowing everybody away. Just riding through the field. There he is. What kind of numbers is he putting out? I mean, his heart rate's low. And that's not always an indication, but it usually gives you some idea. Oh, Aquas says he's leaving after this climb. So that's why he's putting in a decent effort here. Easy to put in a hard effort when you're leaving. Not knocking you, sir. Not knocking you. Anybody taking part in these deserves respect. But it would be nice, you know, to see you go at least as far as the climbs. I want to stay with Wilcox. I want to see whether he does decide to leave him behind or whether he's just happy to sit with another wheel for a while. Very strong ride. You've got the late joiner, if you look at the rider list, Everett doing work up the front. We'll check back on that in a minute. Have a look further down the field, see what's happening. There's Gomez. He's on his own. There's Doug and Paul Torm. Paul's trying to hang on to Doug's wheel. Van Brekel, same as me, out on his own. And you got these two perennial riders staying together, working each other over. But you got Everett leading out the charge, and as I say, I don't know how to feel about this. Now then, Paul, that was a mistake then. You should have had your drinks lined up. Like me. Here's my second one. There's my first. Already got them, sir. Although to be fair, I could do with another one because I think I am going to run out. Might have to shout Hilke. Oh, pardon me. Say I'm enjoying this ride. You know, I'm starting to think that the graphic at the bottom of the screen isn't working at all, because those dots are not representative of what's happening. So I'm sorry, folks, but what you're seeing on the bottom of the screen, I might as well turn it off and on and see whether that refreshes it, because it's simply not working. So we'll go to the GUI. There's the distance and slope back on and off, and the full elevation map has now been switched off and back on, and now it's working. There we go, that's better. I did wonder why, you know, we were going up climbs and I was still showing on the flat. Idiot, I should have realised earlier, but okay, now like I said, I suspected a split would happen on the climb, and that's Rispens looks to be the one that's being distanced, but he's within closing distance, so there's no saying that he won't get back on here. But look who's pushing the pace up the front. Now, Sumin, don't forget, was dropped earlier on in the ride. I don't know whether he had a technical or whether it was just inattention like me, but he was dropped and he did a really good effort to get back, and now he's part of the leading group again. Okay, let's find out where the rest are. So you got those two on the descent, and then you've got Young. He's just coming over the top of the climb. And Kobo a bit lower down. Wilcox hasn't managed to drop Aquas. But don't forget, Aquas is calling it today at the top of this climb anyway, so he can afford to put in a big effort and not pay for it. You got Gomez. He's putting in a good effort. Paul and Doug. And Brakel is yet to reach the climb, as have these two. And I'm here somewhere. Let's find out where I am. And there we go. So you can see I've just come down off the downhill. I'm not even close to the climb yet. But I am over half distance, so probably looking at about 3 hours if I decide to go the full distance. I think a little bit more than 3 hours, probably 3:05, 3:10, which is a hell of a long ride for me. And the knee's giving me trouble already, so we'll see. I want to stick with it though, I really do. Okay, back to the front. And these 5 riders have come back together like I expected. And I think they'll stay together until the next big climb, which I think is the Cipressa, I think. Or is it the Poggio? I don't know. Whichever. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. It's made a little bit easier for me, the fact that I'm riding. I'm not having to find something to say all the time. I mean, it is hard work commentating and riding, but it's more enjoyable than just sat on my stool. Because the difference between the sportive and yesterday's race, I mean, I really enjoyed commentating on yesterday's race. And that's because there was a lot going on. All right, we only had a small field. I think we had about 20 riders. But we had lots of tactics going on. In the early part, OTR, who by far had the most riders, were trying to beat up the other riders to gain an advantage. And they really worked over the other riders, in particular the rider who came in second. Antolay, was it? Anyway, can't remember the name, but they really did a good job of working him over. And yet he had the ride of the day, quite possibly, by coming in second, despite all efforts to get rid of him. So there was a lot going off. There was a lot of team tactics. There was some really good drafting, some really good breakaways, some really good jump off the front, take your turn, sit up, let somebody else jump off the front. And as I say, if you haven't watched the video, go find it, because it's a masterclass in team tactics. And that gives a commentator like me a lot more to chat about, to discuss. Whereas with this sportive, really, you're not so much looking at, well, you're definitely not looking at team tactics, because everybody's riding for themselves. Certainly in this one, because it's a small field, and I don't think there's any team tactics on display whatsoever. It's just every man for himself, trying to ride the best they can, which is what sportives are all about. Yes, these guys are still treating it as a race, but it doesn't have the same dynamic as a true race does. So there's not as much going on in terms of tactics, and I don't have to explain what they're trying to do. Because what they're trying to do is just ride the best they can. Anyway, these 5 are going to stay together at least to the base of the next climb, so let's see what's happening further back. And you've got Young, he's 1.8 kilometres off the pace, so he's not going to close the gap on the leaders between now and the finish. Of that, I'm fairly certain I can call. And the same with Cowboy. He may well come back to Young in front of him. He can close 600 metres, but he's definitely not going to close 2.5 kilometres to the front group. Now this fellow has already stated that he's packing. We don't know when. He's already finished the climb, so I don't know how much more he's going to ride. He's left behind Wilcox, but that's no surprise really. When a rider knows that he's getting off the bike, he can give it everything. It's similar to what happens if you're in a race and you get near the finish. You know, you can usually find something to finish with a flourish. Well, if you know you're getting off the bike halfway through a ride, and I'm not knocking him, you know, you could put in a good effort, and that's what he's doing. 3.2, you know, but Wilcox is not being put under the cosh. He's done an amazing ride today. I'm really impressed with the character he's showing. It's like he's saying, nope, you're not leaving me behind. He's worked his way slowly through the field. And I really honestly believe he'll catch Corbo. I think he will. I think he'll close the 130 metres to Corbo. And then who knows what he can achieve. I mean, we saw some amazing riding yesterday on this course in the last few kilometres. You know, we thought we'd already got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we were completely wrong. Yes, 1 was over. There was no way that he was going to be caught. But and he nearly was. He nearly was. But 2, 3, 4, and 5 gave us a real show. And my hat off to James Ogilvie, the race organiser, because he was riding yesterday. I don't know whether he was team captain or not, but he was certainly marshalling his troops, and the tactics were fantastic. And Neil Pugh, I have to give him a shout out, because he was leading up the charge in Group 2, and he played his part as well. So some really good tactics yesterday. And what we thought was a cut and dried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was anything but. Very, very enjoyable. And here we are on the same course, and I expect the end of this ride to play out much the same. I expect it's going to be quite exciting if we can have 5 or 6 riders going into it. Having said that, it looks like there's a split happening at the front, so we'll get back there. Oh no, he's not. Rispens is just, it's the second time I've seen him struggling, and one of the terms we use in racing is burning your matches. And if Rispens has to do this too many times, he's burning too many matches, and he's going to be gone later in the ride. When the ride really calls for an effort, the poor guy's going to have nothing left if he has to keep doing this, burn matches, close gaps like this. But full credit to the lad for doing it and getting back. Now he needs to take a break. He needs to ease up. And I'm on the steep climb now. Looks like Everett has done his bit. He's easing up. Is he going to stop? Looks like he's stopping. So here I am on the climb, 8%. We're just getting to the steep part. Trying to find a nice gear I'm comfortable in. Not finding it. Hip certain. This is steep. And I think the graphic's stuck again, so I'll turn it on and off as soon as I finish this climb. I think I'm getting near the top. Yeah, see, I'm about 2/3 of the way up the climb. Steepest part still to come. Putting out some good numbers now. 4.6, nice. We get to the steepest part. There's a top. Oh, that was a bitch. Quite good gel, I think. So you can see the selection happening here on this big climb. And this is going to sort out the winner. Whoever crests this climb in front is going to be in the running for first finisher. Not necessarily the man that does get up first, but whoever's at the front here, whichever riders, they're going to be contesting the finish. Because the other climb isn't as steep or as long, and I don't think there's time for riders that are not within closing distance to close the gap. So you can see we've got 3 riders here. You got Hworth, who was my pick, out front. You've got Rispens, not far behind, and they're going to come back together, there's no doubt about it. And you've got LaRoche, and then I think 6 meters behind, oh, there he is. This man has been amazing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Suominen in with a shout at the end, because he's been a real superstar on this ride. But you can count out the next riders already. There's no way Young is coming back. Sorry to call it so early, but he's not coming back. Not unless he's an outstanding climber and he can make up that kind of distance, and I think it's too much to ask. Because the guys up front are putting out 3 points dot what kilos, so they're not hanging about. Wilcox is not hanging about. He's putting in a really good effort. But again, I don't see him closing the 1.5 kilometres to Rispens. I could be wrong. Anything's possible, and we saw that yesterday. So I'm not calling it out, but if he can even get close, he'll definitely take Rider of the Day award. Well, him and Suminen will be in the running. Although you can't count out H. Worth because, he's been at the front almost all day. So he's done his fair share as well. There's been some good rides today. Except for me, of course. Sorry, I shouldn't pull myself apart, but yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed with how I performed today, but if I manage to finish this ride, I'll just be happy to do so. So let's go for that. No matter how you finish, as long as you finish. It does look like Aquis, however you pronounce his name, has now left the ride. We'll work his way back down the field, but I'm pretty sure he's left the ride. There's Gomez, and he was somewhere around here, so we've dug. So he has left the ride. There's Paul Torm. He's currently in the middle of 2 riders. Might close up again to Doug, but it's a tough ask. And then you've got Gottman in the middle of the transition period between the climbs. Van Brekel and Perrin. Gottman has had a good ride. He's rode quite a lot of it with Perron and then gone out on his own and left these two to their own devices. So he's had a really good ride. But these are, well, there you go. Look, my two picks are going off the front. So it could well come down to these two. It's too early yet. The La Roche is only 36 metres trailing, and Rispen's not that far behind that. Now, I'm just going to, let's go down. We got Blue. Now this fella's a late joiner, not currently riding, but if he starts riding, which he's doing now, I hope he doesn't get involved in the tactics. Looks like he's struggling to find his pace actually, but so no, he's going to be in between riders. I just hope he doesn't influence any of the riders on the road. Because you've got Schroeder. Schroeder looks like another new rider as well. It's yeah, he's another new rider coming in. And what you don't want to happen is you don't want riders coming in at this stage of this ride and influencing it. They may not, but if they catch up with Rispens and La Roche and pull them along, then they're influencing the ride, and that's not fair. Hopefully they won't do so. But obviously they're going to be riding stronger than riders in front of them because they've done no distance at all. So there's Corbo and Wilcox riding together. Gomez, Doug, and Paul Torm. And me, little old me, 33 kilometres to do. Oh, push up this panel. Okay, now we get over that climb. Let's get back to the front. And the Russians join them. Well done, sir. That's a good ride from him. And wristbands as well. Cracking rides. They could all be together on the final downhill. That would be something to see. Wristbands is once again having to burn matches just to stay with them. And I think that's going to be the deciding factor towards the end. Okay, I'm on the big climb now. Oh, am I? I'm still in the, I think it's still in the green. Yeah, no, I'm not a little bit behind. Stay with these and see what happens as they go over the top. Then we'll switch back further down the field. I want to watch the dynamic as these four crest. Brisbane's has had the common sense to get up towards the front, so he's not hanging off the back as they crest the top of the climb, because they'll shoot over the top pretty quickly. And then it's a very steep descent. Onto the cobbled descent. Switch the view around and see what's happening in front of them. There we go, that's a better view. Even better. Right. Suffering now. So these two have opened up an 80-metre gap on wristbands, but that's draggable back. That's by no means not doable, but it does look like wristbands is actually, looking at his watt kilos, looks like he's given up. When I say given up, I don't mean he's, he's said, well, that's it, I'm finished. But it does look like he's not contesting, he's not trying to put in the big numbers necessary to close the gap. So it looks like he's settling for third place. That could change, of course. Could get a bit of recovery and then decide to push again like he'd done before. But I did say, remember, that he's burnt quite a lot of matches in already closing up gaps. And this is this part of the race where you pay for it. 17 kilometres to go. If he's got to close 115 metres, is he really going to be in a fit state to tackle the next climb and stay with these riders? I don't think so. So you can see he's already fallen further behind. These riders are riding away from him now. And that's, I'm not saying I told you so, but that's what I expected. It doesn't take a genius to work out that wristbands was always struggling to stay with the front. So these two are going to contest first finisher, or the win, you want to call it the win. And then we've got riders further back. But what we've also got is we've got riders like Schroeder, not young, of course, he's been there from the beginning. Wilcox and Corboard, we've both been there from the beginning. But we've also got a few riders thrown in who, well, no, it does look like the riders that came in late have decided to jack, which from a ride point of view, I'm happy about, purely and simply because they're now not going to influence these other positions. It's going to be down to the riders themselves to work together or not, to decide how they're going to handle it. Paul, Torm and Gottman are on the climb. You can see from the white paddle where they are. I'm just starting it. I can feel the gradient kicking in. I'm going to have to take it easy up the climb though, because my hip is screaming at me. So if I push too hard, I'll have to get off the bike. So I'm just finding a nice cadence, finding a nice gear. I'm just going to turn it round. I don't care if the bots overtake me. It's been a good ride from Gottman. And from Paul. Well done, Paul, for sticking with it. And Mr. Ferran. You have to admire every rider that decides they're going to ride this full course, because it certainly ain't easy. And these two boys are going to contest the finish, I'm pretty sure, together. There I am on the climb. Let's see if I can go past Rudy. Put an effort in and go past Rudy. There we go. Goodbye, Rudy. I'm going to see if I can catch marks. Not going to catch Caroline, but I'll catch marks. This is where I'm in my element when I'm climbing. There he is, I can see him ahead. So I'm going to get him. Closing up nice and quickly. There's the catch. I have to go on past. Keep it going. Okay, let's get back to the front. I continue to do battles with marks. Now what's happening here? Oh, come on, zooming in. Not a dropout at this stage. Okay, what's happening? Oh, has he just given up? No, nobody would give up with just sight of the finish, surely. He's got to have had a dropout. See what's happening lower downfield. Brisbane's is 300 metres behind. Possible to close, but I don't think so. Having said that, it does look like he's keeping the distance steady, so he might be closing. Yeah, it looks like he is. Good man. Maybe I've done him a disservice. He's pegging it at 280 at the moment. Okay, let's see what's happening behind them. These are all late joiners, so it's young I'm interested in. 15 kilometres left. And then 500 metres behind him, you got these two. Cracking ride from both of them. Hope they managed to stay together for a while. Okay. You're wondering why I'm puffing so much? Because I'm not watching myself. I'm trying to keep my my climbing pace reasonably high so that Yax doesn't catch me, or Malay, or whatever his name is. There's Gottman flying. Good man. Paul Torm. Well done, Paul. Bowen and Van Brekel. Then you've just got me. Tail end Charlie, 25 kilometres to go. You see I'm still only halfway up the climb. Marks is 30 metres behind me, so I'm going to have to put in a bit of an effort now. There's no way I'm letting him catch me. You see, the problem with bots is they don't feel fatigue. They churn out the same pace, uphill, downhill, flat, whatever. There's no fatigue with a pace partner, a bot. So they're always going to close up on you if you let them. So just every now and again, I got to put in an effort to pull clear. Now it's pulled out a bit more of a gap. It's gone out to 480 metres, so. And this last climb isn't that steep or long. Let's do a sprint. Okay, I need to find out where I am on the climb. I'm not there, that's for sure. Graphic's not working again. No, I'm definitely not where it's showing on screen, so it's not working. Which is a bugger. There you go, it's jumped. So that's about where I am, yeah. Now what's happening here? Wristman's closing the gap? It is, you know. Well on you. Good on you, man. Let's stay with this and see where the gap comes down even more. He's going red, so he's putting in an effort. This is the race. He's definitely closing. Oh, Rispens as we're in sight. Whoops. There, look. In the distance. Now, this is the ride of the day if he catches him. I'd given up on him. I thought he'd burnt too many matches. Shows how wrong he can be. A fellow Dutchman as well. Although I'm not a Dutchman, but I'm, what's the word? I've adopted the Netherlands as my home country, let's put it that way. Yeah, now he needs to go straight on past. Demoralise him. Come on. Straight on past. Keep the thwats going. Come on. That's what I'd do. I'd kill myself here. Absolutely kill myself. Just demoralise him. And that's what he's doing. This is the right tactic. You demoralise your opponent when you go past them. Look at him putting out the red numbers. That's exactly what he's doing. He knows. He knows he's got this. He's pulling out a lead now. It's growing. Just needs to keep putting in that big effort. If he gets to this top of this climb with a 90, 100 metre gap, Hworth is not going to close it. And I can tell you that for definite. I watched this yesterday, and you're not going to close 100 metres on this downhill. No way. Not against a rider that's putting in an effort. So, fantastic ride by Rispens. You see what I mean about it all changing around? We'd given it up. We thought it was Hworth's ride. How many of you out there honestly thought, okay, it's over? Because I certainly did. And yet look at this. Already he's got 180 metres and it's growing. What a fantastic effort. Unbelievable. This is the ride of the day, without a doubt. Not just because he's taken the win, but the manner in which he's done it, constantly coming back from being dropped, giving the impression, to me at least, that, okay, I'm burning my matches, getting back. How many times did he do it? 2 or 3 times? And then to put in this display, right at the end, to pull out a gap like this, that's a stunning ride. And he's still pulling out the gap. He's still putting in red numbers. Superb ride. Okay, I'm going to flick to myself because I need to know where I am. Where's Max is 175 metres behind me. And I'm just cresting. Okay, I'll have to push my wattage up on the downhill. Let's get back to the front. Let's check what's happening with Wilcox and his compatriots. A good ride from Younger though. You'll get a good 3rd place, mate. Well done. And Wilcox, if he gets 4th, if he manages to overhaul Corbo and get 4th, What a ride that'll be. And he could yet get third. He's only 300 metres behind. I mean, that's a ride as well. Toss up between him and Rispens for ride of the day. We had a toss up yesterday, didn't we? So it seems this course does that. 340 metres now. There are no ways anybody closing that gap. You'd need a rocket ship. Okay, I need to put in some serious effort here to get down this downhill. So change gear and some watts. We go over the top. That's it, red numbers, come on. Give it some. Okay, that's it. Just keep the wattage going on the downhill and we're good. Open up a significant gap. Strange that I'm fighting with a bot, innit? But this has been a good ride by H-Worth. I mean, he did all the early running. You can't not admire him. He was leader out front for so long in this ride. Only to see himself overhauled at about the 9 kilometre to go point. That must be heartbreaking. To think you're the strongest rider in the pack and then to be overhauled so quickly and so easily. Easily being a relative term, folks. I'm not saying it was easy for Rispens or easy for H-Worth. But he did, you have to admit, he did the right tactic. He went flying past, kept the power down, demoralised his opponent. I mean, that's classic racing, that. Now, Schroeder's coming up behind, and I hope he stays out of the way. He doesn't need to influence this whatsoever. Oh, this fella. Stay out of the way. Let Mr. Young have his day, have his third place. Unless, of course, Wilcox and Calbo have something to say about that. And that could happen looking at it, because they're 230 metres behind. So you've got your work cut out, Young, to stave them off. You can see they're in the same picture now. On the other side of this bend. You need to put some effort in, sir. There they are, working well together. And they're putting out more watches than you are, Young. So you need to up your game slightly. to stay ahead of them. There's Gomez. This fella's had a good ride. As has Gottman. Really admire this rider. And there's Paul. And what a star. You know, when your sponsor comes along, takes part in the ride and finishes it, you can't ask for better than that. What a star. There's Ferran. Van Brekel. He always seems to be hammering it, Van Brekel. Whenever I join him, he's always going fast. And then, of course, you got me. Little old me. Working hard to stay away from Max and Rudy. Well, Richmond is 4 kilometres from home. I'm looking for all the world like nobody's going to get anywhere close to him. There's Hitchworth, Schroeder behind him. Don't you dare influence this ride, Schroeder. Stay out of the way. By all means, get on his wheel, but stay out of the way. He's ridden 92 kilometres without anybody's help, and he can ride the last 5. And Rispins can certainly do the last 3. What a great ride. I'm going to stay with him, I think, now. Just passing the sign for San Remo, so he's almost home. Hold on, Schroeder. Staying out of the way. You listen to me. Wonder if we'll get the rain towards the end today, like we did yesterday. Yes, there we go. And there's the kite. Well done, Rispins. Fantastic ride, mate. Great ride. 1 kilometre, come on, you got this. You'd almost freewheeled home. Not that you're going to do, but a great ride. Come on, Derek, don't you stop. You got a bot chasing you. Fantastic ride. Come on, 500 metres. You can do this. Legs must be screaming, mine are. I don't have another climb to go up yet. And he's still pulling out a gap. What an effort. What a great ride. H-Worth has just gone, he's just lost it because he's put in so much work. You've got to feel sorry for him in a little way because he was by far the hardest worker of the group. And he's just been beaten by the better man on the day. Hats off to Riston. Well done, sir. Very good win. There we go. And here's second place. Come on, sir. 4 kilometres to go. Stay behind him, Schroeder. Don't be a door. Okay, then be a door. Sorry, but I think that's out of order. Overtaking a guy who's ridden the full distance and right at the end. I'll let you off if you let him come back up front, Schroeder. That's the decent thing to do. Yes, come on, ease up and let him go to the front. You've no place being there. You can pull him to the line, by all means, but... Oh, I'm shot. I'm absolutely shattered. I haven't got much left. Not even know if I can get up this last climb. Really slowing down now. Come on. Come on, sir. You've earned this. Come on. Finish with a flourish. Come on. Well done. Yeah, you're nearly there. Come on, 100 metres. Come on. You got this. Feel here. Yes! Well done, sir, well done. Okay, third man on the road. 2.2 kilometres to go. I'm just going to check on myself because I want to know who Mark's has overtaken me. No surprise, really. I'm absolutely shocked. But I'm not going to let him beat me. No way. No way I'm being beaten today by a robot. Sorry. Just not going to happen. Not after all this work. I'll get back to the front in a minute, folks. I just want to leave this. What the end? Oh, come on, you can see the kite. Keep it going. I'm fighting with you. Oh, good ride, young. Come on, 300 metres. And still putting out the power. Well done. Sterling ride. What a fabulous run. Okay, Gomez is next. Oh, there wasn't the Wilcox. Yeah, there was these two. Nearly missed you, folks. How could I miss you two? Cowboys going for it. Look at the numbers he's putting out. 7.5. What a start. There's Paul. There's Gomez. He's still to finish, so I'll stay with him. Just need to flip to myself to see where I am. Okay, I've got 144 meters on. Next. We get back to Gomez. Yeah, I'm gonna put that. There's the kite, Gomez. Go for it. Good numbers, come on. Finish strong. Come on, Gomez. 500 meters. You can do this. 50 meters, come on. Yay! Good ride, mate. Okay, Paul. Come on. No, don't stop now, Derek. Don't stop now. Melted fluid, that's it. Could have done with another bottle. 6 kilometres to go, 6.5. Right, Paul, come on, keep it going. There's the 1k banner. Strong finish, come on. Good numbers. Yes, that's what I like to see. Good numbers. Come on, Gavin. You're nearly there, Paul. Hundred metres. Yes, nice wave. Thank you. There you go, sir. There you go. Here comes Gottman. Close behind you. And Ferran's in the distance, so come on, sir. 400 metres. Give it a push. And then just as tail end Charlie's. Van Brekel and myself. And the bots. Thanks for the wave. There we go. Who's next? Van Brekel. 6.1 kilometres to go, Van Brekel. So come on. You're on the downhill now. I'm just getting close to the downhill. I got a 370 metre gap on marks, but I need more than that for the downhill. So let's push it to the top. Come on, strong push over the top. My legs are shot. Absolutely. Absolutely gone. There's the one kite to go, Van Berkel. Good ride, sir. Come on, keep it going. Don't ease up now. Keep it going. You're nearly home. That's it. Put in an effort. Good ride, sir. Good ride. Well, I won't be riding tomorrow, that is for sure. Or possibly even Tuesday. I've really overdone it with this knee. But I'm going to finish. And that's the main thing. Well done to everybody. You all deserve medals for finishing this. It's been a tough ride. 3:25 on the road, Van Berkel. That's some going, mate. Well done. There you go. Last 100 metres coming up. Well done. I've got a dry mouth. I need a drink. Ugh. I've switched views to myself. Last man on the road. Bar for the bots. There you go. There I am. 2.1 kilometres to go. 700 metres in front of Max. So he's definitely not going to bloody catch me, that's for sure. This is about double my longest ride since my accident. Ugh. Well, I'm going to beat the 3:30 mark. Anyway. Just. Oh, what can you say? Just glad to be over. Glad to be over. What a race. Well done, everybody. Thank you very much to Paul Torm from OTR for coming along and joining the ride, and more importantly, for sponsoring it. That's it from me. I need to go and have a drink and have a lie down. So, take care, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Whenever that is. Oh, God. I am tired.